Ryan Reynolds spent the better part of a decade collecting box office disasters like they were trophies. Green Lantern, R.I.P.D, Selfless. The man kept showing up, kept taking the roles, and kept watching them quietly fail. And then something shifted. So we're ranking 5 of his most iconic roles by aura. Not reviews, not at the box office, pure aura. Andrew Paxton, The Proposal. Andrew Paxton is a personal assistant. He wakes up before his boss. He gets her coffee. He schedules her meetings. He takes her daily abuse without flinching. She even makes him cancel his trip home for his grandmother's 90th birthday in Alaska to work instead. He has no power, no leverage, no say in anything. And then Margaret turns around and uses that same grandmother's birthday trip as the cover story for the fake engagement, forcing him to bring her along to meet his entire family. That is not a man with an aura. That is a man with a health insurance plan and nowhere better to be. And then his boss Margaret, played by Sandra Bullock, walks into the office and announces to everyone that they are engaged. Completely made up. Total lie. She needed to avoid getting deported back to Canada and decided Andrew was the solution without asking him first. And Andrew, instead of voting on the spot, looks her dead in the eyes and starts listing his conditions. Promotion. His manuscript was published. He turned being ambushed in front of his entire workspace into a live negotiation. That is the moment the aura showed up. Briefly, the film made $317 million worldwide, the highest grossing rom-com of 2009. People showed up specifically to watch these two fight through a fake engagement and somehow fall into a real one. The chemistry was undeniable. Even critics who had issues with the film had to admit Reynolds and Bullock together just worked. But Andrew spent most of the movie absorbing punishment from someone who did not deserve to dish it out. The aura arrived late, got one good scene, and then went back to getting bossed around. One good negotiation does not make a tier. He is a nice guy who had one cold moment. That is not a character. That is a Tuesday. F tier. If you think Reynolds has been criminally underrated for most of his career, subscribe, because this channel is basically a support group for that exact opinion, and we meet every week. Next is Guy in Free Guy. Guy is an NPC in a Grand Theft Auto styled open world video game. He wakes up every morning, makes his coffee, walks to the bank, gets robbed at gunpoint, lies face down on the floor while players steal everything, clocks out, go home, sleeps, and does it all again the next day. He's never once questioned this routine. He does not know there is anything to question. That is not a character with an aura. That is a screensaver with a coffee addiction. Then he gets a pair of sunglasses and can suddenly see the entire game for what it is. The HUD, the missions, the players, all of it. And instead of using that information to cause maximum chaos like every actual human player in the game, he decides to become the hero. Nobody told him to. No one programmed him for it. He just decided. An NPC chose the main character arc through pure willingness. The film made $331 million worldwide after multiple pandemic delays. Reynolds carried the entire thing on the back of a character who starts as background furniture and ends up saving the world. It's a genuinely fun performance, the kind where you forget you're watching Ryan Reynolds and just watch Guy. But Guy is almost too earnest, too wholesome for his own good. There is a hard ceiling on how much aura pure goodness can generate before it tips into something softer. He is not threatening. He is not unpredictable. He is a good man in a video game who makes good choices. That's admirable, but it is not an S tier, so B tier. Wade Wilson from X-Men Origins Wolverine. For the first 15 minutes of this film, Ryan Reynolds was playing the perfect version of Deadpool. He walked into scenes already talking. He deflected bullets with his katanas. He made jokes in the middle of live combat without breaking stride. He was clearly the most interesting person in every single room. It was working. Anyone watching those opening scenes could see exactly what this character could be. Then the studio got involved. They sewed his mouth shut. Literally. They called him Weapon 11. They gave him laser eyes and retractable arm blades and every physical power they could think of except the ability to talk, which was the only thing that made him worth watching in the first place. Reynolds publicly called it one of the all-time foolish decisions in superhero filmmaking. The finished product landed at 37% on Rotten Tomatoes. It is not a good film. But here's the thing. Those first 15 minutes were so undeniably good that they haunted people for years. The memory of what Wade Wilson almost became was the entire reason audiences were willing to take a chance on a low-budget R-rated superhero film from Fox in 2016. A character nobody had done right became the reason people showed up hoping someone finally would. The aura debt of Weapon 11 accidentally became the best investment Reynolds ever made. He spent 7 years turning that frustration into fuel, and it paid off completely. So C tier for what they delivered. The first 15 minutes were S tier though. The studio gets the rest. Wade Wilson, or Deadpool, in Deadpool 2016. The studio did not want to make this movie. Test footage leaked online, the internet went insane, and Fox still dragged their feet. Reynolds gave up his full salary just to get it greenlit. The budget came in at $58 million. For a superhero film, that's a school play budget. It made $782 million worldwide. Deadpool opens with him already in the middle of a highway fight scene, talking directly to the audience before the credits finish rolling. He makes jokes about the X-Men budget. He roasts his own franchise from the inside. He references his disastrous appearance in X-Men Origins, and later in Deadpool 2's post-credit scene. Literally travels back in time to shoot that version of himself in the head. He held a grudge against a fictional character who was also himself for 7 years, and then filmed the resolution. That is not normal behavior. That is dedication at a clinical level. The character got cancer, went through experimental torture, came out the other side looking like, in his best friend Weasel's words, a topographical map of Utah, and decided the correct response to all of that was to never stop making people uncomfortable with jokes. Trauma processing and aura farming running simultaneously at full speed. S tier. Detective Pikachu in Pokemon Detective Pikachu. This is a small yellow electric mouse. He is addicted to coffee. He solves crimes. That's the character. That should not generate aura. That should generate a confused silence and a worried phone call to the director. Reynolds performed Detective Pikachu through both voice and facial motion capture, physically performing the character's expressions on set, not reading lines in a recording booth and going home, actually showing up and acting for a fictional yellow Pokemon. The film made $433 million worldwide. It became one of the best reviewed video game adaptations ever made. Critics who had never watched a single Pokemon episode sat through it and came out saying it genuinely worked. The coffee obsession is the detail that makes it. The way Detective Pikachu treats his morning cup like it's the only thing standing between him and complete system failure. It is specific. It is human. It is somehow the most relatable thing in a film full of magical creatures. Reynolds found the one character trait that made a cartoon mouse feel like a real person, and then committed to it completely. The aura here does not announce itself. It does not break fourth walls or survive assassination attempts. It does not arrive with a chainsaw or a 20-foot long table. It just makes something completely impossible feel completely natural. That is the hardest thing to pull off, and it is worth more than any chainsaw or long table. S tier. Reynolds spent a decade being the guy who almost made it. Wrong roles, wrong timing, wrong studios making the wrong calls with characters that deserved far better. Green Lantern should have worked. Origins Deadpool should have worked. They didn't. And he kept going anyway until the right ones arrived. Whether that is aura or stubbornness, at this point the results are the same. Give this video a like if you stayed all the way to the end, and subscribe because there's more of this coming. Peace.